Good morning, everyone. It is Coffee Chats with Coach Candy. Cheers. It is Thursday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Thursday. Thanks. Good morning, and love seeing you all here. So let's start digging into what we're going to talk about today. Good morning, Deborah. Great to see you. Today is our Thursday Thanks Space, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about more ways that we can enhance our practice of gratitude so that we can be more mindful and really open up access for more abundance, more opportunities, just more joy in our life. Gratitude's an amazing way to connect us into our joy and the love that's all around us. And so want to make sure that we're spending time really being purposeful about leveling up our practice of gratitude. And so this morning I want to talk about a couple of things. One, I'm curious for some of you that are jumping on, wondering what you've done so far as we've talked about gratitude. So good morning, Myra. So I'm curious, has anybody either started journaling more deliberately around their gratitude, their practice of gratitude, or did anyone start the gratitude jar last week? Hair's sticking up. Good morning. Morning. So curious, ladies, those of you that have already jumped on, and I know some others are jumping on as well, did either one of you start the gratitude jar or doing anything that levels up sort of your practice of gratitude? I'm curious what you've been doing over the last couple of weeks, if you've implemented or installed any of the new habits or pieces that we've talked about, and what's showing up for you. What does that look like? I know we've done, the letters that we've sent out to people, letters or card. Good morning, Paul. Talked about having a way to, set our intention in the morning and what we're grateful for, as well as journaling at night, really creating that practice. And then the gratitude jar last week. So like I said, just curious for those of you that are on right now, have you stepped into a space to bring any of those forward in your life? Have you started any of those practices? And if you have, what's showing up for you? Myra, journal a bit, but what has really helped when I get in a funk to reflect on what I have and what I'm blessed with. Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing how when something shows up, it could be just anxiety, it could be stress, it could be worry, it could be that space. One of the most amazing things we can do is, first of all, step forward and actually face the fear. We've talked about that several times, where you lean in and you name the fear and you call it what it is. And you also tell it it's a liar, because most of the time it's coming from a place when you were younger and it's not true, and it's something that you're fabricating for yourself. But being able to just shift in that frame, to be able to shift even in the challenges, to find something to be grateful for all the time, is really a discipline that can help shift you massively and instantly when something's showing up that might make you feel like you're blocked, make you feel like you're stressed or overwhelmed or worried about something. Just simply counting your blessings, and simply just, you could be sitting at a stoplight and you've got thoughts going on, and all of a sudden you can be like, 5 things I'm grateful for right now. What am I blessed about in my life? And so I love that, Myra, that you've really been in a space. Good morning, Elaine. To really kind of shift that and say, what am I blessed about? Because I want to give you kind of an analogy for a minute and think about this. And it's a great way to remind ourselves just how blessed we are. And I'm going to get to that in just a moment. But let's see, it has helped me pull out any angry situation or depressing moment to count what I'm thankful for or what I have. Absolutely. And we always have something to be thankful for. And I get people sometimes that'll say, I don't know how to start a gratitude journal, or I don't know what to be grateful for. And you could say things like, what are 3 things I'm grateful for that I can hear right now? What are 3 things I'm grateful for that I see? What are 3 things that I'm grateful for as it relates to my home or my family or my friends? What are 3 things I'm grateful for about my body or my health? What are 3 things? And so you could look at any category. You could just happen to say, what are 3 things I'm grateful for about my kitchen? And I want to put this in perspective for you for a minute. And let me see, Paul, after last night's event and the calendar journal I have, I need to start journaling about those I meet, what makes them tick, their passions, and why I should follow up with them. Ooh, I love that. I love that as a really good way to drop into gratitude and to instill a follow-up practice, because most people don't realize that 80% of their opportunity is lost because they don't have a structured follow-up. They don't follow up. They leave that business card sitting on the table, and then 3 weeks go by and they feel stupid then at that point to reach out. And so I think that's a great way to kind of anchor and kind of set a pace. I love that, Paul, where you can actually in the moment, and I've done that before on the back of business cards. I'll ask people, can I write on your card? Because I think it's just, I like to be respectful of that. I don't know why. I mean, they give it to me, I can do what I want, but I ask, do you mind if I write on it? And so a lot of times on the back, I'll write, where I met them. And then I will do something similar to what Paul's saying, where I'll write something that kind of connects why they spoke to me, or what we talked about, or what was so interesting about them. And so I love that, having more of a deliberate practice around those people that we get to interact and engage with, and that we might be meeting for the first time. What makes them tick? What makes me want to connect with them further? What was that energy between us that was so compelling? To sit in a place of gratitude and realize that that person showed up in your life at that moment for a reason. Is really powerful. I do that a lot when I meet people, that instantly, even before we follow up and do anything major or whatever, I'll write and say, I loved our conversation for these reasons. And I'll send them a message back because I like to be able to anchor in what made that person so appealing to me. Why, and offer that gratitude, that blessing for the fact that that person is showing up for you perfectly, with beautiful synchronicity in your life in this moment for a reason. And when you really can anchor that in and you can really lean into that, what a beautiful practice. I love that. Thank you so much, Bob, for sharing that. Elaine, it gives you time to stop. Yes, it does. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Martha. Grateful for this group. Yes, I am extremely grateful for this group. And so I want you to think about, there's some ways to anchor that in a little deeper. So we were just asking for some of you jumping on. I'm curious, what gratitude practices have you started to instill over the last couple weeks as we've been having these conversations? We've talked about ways to, say the 10 things you're grateful for in the morning and lay that out, or before you go to bed. We've talked about creating the gratitude journal and how do you even get started in that. And last week, we talked about the gratitude jar, the gratitude box, and I'm curious how many of you have stepped in that space. And so what are you doing right now when it comes to your own gratitude practice, and how have you been leveling that up? And what might be showing up for you as a result? Because a couple of things, I love, the conversation we're having. When you're having that moment that feels stuck, or you're having that moment that feels like, you're a little stressed, or you're anxious, in that moment, dropping in what you're grateful for. And it's amazing, because I was doing some more, work around gratitude, and I'm always looking for things that I want to bring to you and share to you. And it was interesting, because one of the exercises talked about, if you really want to put yourself in a space to remind yourself just how blessed you are, take out a can of white beans. Don't heat it up. Don't do anything with it. Don't eat anything else. Simply get a spoon or a fork or whatever, open the can of beans, and just for one meal, eat that can of beans. And sit and reflect in just a moment about how blessed you truly are. I mean, we oftentimes lose perspective about how much we have and how many blessings are bestowed upon us in our life. And when you can sit for just a moment and remind yourself of the fact that even the groceries that you have, the quality of food, the fact that we waste so much food in our culture, to sit and just open up a can of beans and eat those beans directly out of the can. If you want real perspective, to ask yourself, wow, look at what I'm blessed with. There are people that are eating far less than that in the world right now. That a can of beans would be like a elite dining for them, would be fine dining. And so when you start to think about that, find ways to put things in perspective, because it's only when we realize how blessed we are that we open up access for more blessings, for more things to be grateful for. Good morning, Terry. And so I offer that if you're struggling for a moment, put yourself in a space where you're like, more of a dire situation, and you will instantly be able to shift yourself out and say, you know what, my problem doesn't seem so bad. Because sometimes we magnify the problem, or we magnify the issue, and when it's put into perspective, we're like, wow, that really doesn't seem like it's going to be anything that's going to be, something even worthwhile tomorrow. And so I want you to think about this concept of the 5x5. And Jeff, let's see, I've been trying to I can't speak this morning. I've been trying to uplift people and saying things like, I appreciate you, sort of a grateful gesture without saying, I'm grateful for you. I love that. And yes, because some people do, it's amazing how people get weirded out when you say things like, I'm so grateful for you, or they don't know how to receive that. But when you can say something like, I appreciate you, and thank you. Thank you is two of the most powerful words we have put together that are truly that space to open up that gesture of gratitude. And so I love that where can you find ways to uplift people? Where can you find ways to say thank you, to say I appreciate you, even in the challenges? Because when we can start to appreciate the journey, we can start to appreciate the challenge itself, we start to open up access for even more. And so I want you to think about this concept of the 5 by 5. If this is not going to matter 5 minutes from now or 5 years from now, actually, if it's not going to matter whatever your time is, 5 days from now, 5 weeks from now, 5 years from now, don't give it more than 5 minutes of your time. And so I want you to think about that. We get all caught up in something that is overwhelming, that is stressful, that is this space where we're comparing ourselves to someone else, where we feel like we don't have enough, or whatever story we're playing in our head. And I want you to think about, is this even going to matter 5 minutes from now? Is it going to matter 5 weeks from now? Is it going to matter 5 days, 5 years from now? If not, then I'm not going to give it more than 5 minutes of my time. And instantly being able to say, if I'm not going to give it more than 5 minutes of my time, then what am I going to focus on instead? And you can instantly drop in that space to say that I'm going to look at all the blessings that are happening in this moment, because it's an opportunity, as Elaine said, to hit the pause button, right? To stop, to reflect. And so I use time. There's times when I hit the red light at, the intersection, and I sit there for a moment as I'm waiting for the green, and I'll be like, how many blessings can I say before the light turns green? I love making up games like that, right? I'll be waiting for a client who's running late, and I'm sitting in their office, and I'm like, all right, how many blessings can I think of? Yesterday, I got out my journal that I carry with me everywhere. It was in my purse, and I pulled it out, and I just started laying out things I was grateful for because my client was running late. She was still in a meeting, and I'm sitting in her entryway. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit here and I just want to reflect on all the things that I'm grateful for in this moment. And just when she came out, I was like, okay, I'm good. And it was such a space to be able to, first of all, think about how that changes your interaction with a client or someone else when that's what you've done before you've even walked in their office. So I do that a lot of times. I'll do that when I'm walking from the parking lot. I'll park my car to go see a client. I'm like, how many blessings can I think of between now and when I get to the elevator? How many blessings can I think of? And I love putting that kind of energy out there. I love putting that game out there because it keeps me in the moment. Wow, I love the fact that, I was driving yesterday and we had huge storms. We've had some big storms in Austin. And yesterday and the storm went away just before I had to get my car to go see my client, which that I was grateful for, because driving in rain in Austin is like driving in a blizzard in Wisconsin. The visibility is like zero. And it's really dangerous and it floods, and I absolutely do not like driving in the rain, especially when it's a torrential downpours and the thunderstorms. And I was like, oh, I'm so grateful the sky's clearing up on my way to my client. And I sat there the whole way as I was driving. I'm like, I'm grateful that Peyton doesn't have to be scared while I'm gone, because my dog doesn't like thunderstorms. And I'm thinking, oh, the sun came out. Now he can lay on the bed and he can look outside, and he's going to be so much happier. And I'm grateful for the fact that, the weather changed, and I'm grateful for how beautiful it is after it storms in Austin. It was gorgeous last night. I'm grateful for, and I just will play a game. It was about a 20-minute drive. There's a lot of blessings you can say in a 20-minute drive. And so I want you to think about how to create opportunities where you can stop, you can reflect, and you can count those blessings. Let's see, Martha. An individual in a class I'm taking tried to verbally bully me. I stood in my space. Upon reflecting, I'm so grateful to have done my work, stand up for myself, and grateful not to be like her. She's showing herself to the class to be untrustworthy. Exactly. And so that's one of the things we can do when someone is in our space. Someone is showing us their true colors. Someone is having a moment of insecurity or a moment where they're kind of reeling themselves, is to step back and simply say, I'm so happy and grateful right now that that's not my story. I'm so happy and grateful that I have options, that I can walk away or I can lean in and see if this person needs assistance. I'm so happy and grateful that I've done my work and this no longer affects me, and I have a voice and can stand up to this person. And I'm grateful that I'm not going to carry it with me for the next couple days or weeks or whatever and make it about me. I understand and realize that that's her journey, and I'm going to offer grace and peace and kindness and compassion and hope that she was able to work her stuff out. But at the end of the day, I'm grateful for knowing that that's not about me. That's not about me in any way, shape, or form. And I mean, what a beautiful example of that. When you're doing your own work, you can simply say, wow, I'm so grateful I'm not there anymore. I'm so grateful that's not how I respond to things. And when you are able to put yourself in a position, you also then get to acknowledge the work that you have done and say things like, I'm so blessed that I've done work so that I don't get affected by these kinds of things. I'm so grateful that I have people around me who have shown me better examples of how I want to show up. I'm so grateful for, and just go on. And it's amazing when you create this practice, when you're in that space to constantly be thinking about what you're blessed about, even when the shit storms come, because the shit storms are blessings too. And I want you to realize that the shit storms are amazing blessings. And most people don't understand that. You're getting the shit storm to move you into something else. And so when you can drop in and say, okay, this sucks right now, yes, and I am so grateful that I'm being given this shit storm, because I know that when I come through on the other side, something is going to open up that was something that's bigger than I could even have imagined. And it's amazing because every time we get in that icky space of the journey, every time we get into a space where we're like, it's offering you something. It's offering you a lesson. It's offering something that you can take as an experience or knowledge and you can extract a learning from it, or it's offering you a space with grace to remove toxic things out of your life. It's a way to say, I don't need this anymore, and bless and release that. And so when those things show up that feel tough, that are those shit storms, that are whatever it is, they are such blessings, because inside of all of that is something that's a gift for you to move forward. And when you practice counting your blessings constantly, when you practice saying what you're grateful for and creating those deliberate practices to support that, that become an ongoing habit every day, it's amazing how something shows up and you're like, wow, you know what? I've gotten through things like this before. I know I'll get through this. And so I'm grateful, and I'm going to sit in and I'm going to enjoy the ride as much as I can. And I'm going to be open to receive whatever is coming on the other side. And so just think about that for a minute. Let's see, Deborah, I need to journal, but I state my blessings every day, kind of like you do at stoplights. I love that. And journaling, the reason why I suggest journaling so much is there's such a power. There's such a subconscious connection. When you say that, you write that, there's almost an opening and a free flow space that happens where you're not judging, where you're not, and it gives you a way to go back when you're having one of those days and go back through your journals and say, you know what, I really have a good life. Look at all these things I'm blessed for. And there's something about when you go back into that space, you lose all that anxiety and that stress, because you can't be in both places at the same time. Yes, bless and release. Bless and release is such a powerful process. For everything that is, it's time to move out of your life, for everything that's either toxic or you've outgrown or no longer serves you, rather than just being like, I don't need you anymore, get out. What I want you to do is I want you to sit in a moment to say, thank you for getting me to this point in my life. Thank you for teaching me what I needed to learn. Thank you for being whatever you've been, even if you're a reflection of what I don't want to be in my life. That might be people that you're removing. Thank you. You know what, I no longer need you anymore, and I'm going to send you on your way. I release you freely back into the world. I release this energy. I no longer need it, and I release you with love and gratitude and much appreciation. And when you do that, it's kind of like, for those of you that have ever watched Marie Kondo, the tidy up person that's always organizing, and for many of you, you know, I've always been someone who loves to purge. I do a ritual every quarter, and sometimes once a month, where I go through and pull everything out of my closet. This is way before Marie Kondo even came out. And I love to go, I love to go through and reorganize and purge things and get rid of unwanted stuff. And I do it, the big one, every quarter. I do it through my house. And so it doesn't take me very long because I do it all the time. But I love that she talks about touch each piece, each item, and ask yourself, does this spark joy? And if not, what you do is you don't just throw it in a pile, you fold it, you thank it, and you send it on its way. That is what a bless and release process is all about. It's truly acknowledging that that thing, that person, that something had a place in your life. It helped shape who you are, whether it was a reflection of what you don't want to be, whether it was something that pushed you, challenged you, whatever it was, it has gotten you to this point. So give it the appreciation and the love and the gratitude it deserves, and then allow it to be released. Allow yourself to just let it go. Allow yourself to take it to Goodwill or the Salvation Army or wherever else you donate, and just gift it away. Just let it be free, It's amazing how powerful that process is. And so it's something that I teach, especially when we do my 3 days, but I teach it for my clients all the time, because there's a lot of stuff that comes up, triggers and things that no longer serve, that we want to make sure that we acknowledge and we give it space to clear it out. And we clear it out in a way to invite more into you. And when you can have blessings for those things, when you can have massive gratitude for things that have challenged you, that have been your trials and tribulation, that have truthfully sucked, it's amazing how much you will open up. Grateful for my, good morning, Sheena. Grateful for my home in times of disasters like floods, etc., where so many lose their homes. We often forget how fortunate we are. Isn't that so true? We forget how fortunate we are in every capacity. We're so busy winding and grinding and kind of burning and turning through our life that we forget to slow down. We forget that, you know what, I'm grateful. In fact, I went and worked with a client yesterday, and I've had some shit storms happening in my business the last 2 months, and some of you know what's been going on and not, and it's really challenged me, and I'm so grateful. It has absolutely changed how I'm approaching things in my business. It changes part of the reason why I'm showing up with you every morning. There's been some things that have been really difficult, releasing a former client, releasing some negative energy that just wasn't a space that served me, and was trying to love that person so much and trying to clear things out when really I needed to untether and release myself from it. And I really needed to drop into place, because the lessons I learned through that experience have been, I can't put a price, they've been priceless. And so yesterday I was with a client who, her shitstorm was 5 times the level of mine, based on the level of her company and the things that are going on. And it occurred to me, I even woke up this morning going, holy cow, my problems don't seem so big when now I've got a client who's going through X, Y, and Z. And so there's always a space to put things in perspective. There is always someone who is kicking ass more than you and more successful, yes. And there's always a lot of people who are struggling more than you, who don't have the support system, who are not leaning in and coming into conversations like this, where you are getting tools and strategies, and where you can even just be reminded of how to show up and what is important. And so, Myra, I love that. Thank you. You needed to hear that this morning. I love that, because that is the opportunity, right? When we can connect in and remind ourselves of what we have, of what's available to us. And the thing is, I have blessed and released a big box of dog harnesses and leashes to the animal shelter. So grateful that I had a wonderful dog in my life, and will again someday. Oh, that just makes my heart swell. Absolutely. And some of those things that we need to let go. I know someone else was talking about letting go of some family stuff. Sometimes that physical stuff is creating such an anchoring energy that we need to maybe take a picture of it, maybe remind ourselves that brought us joy. Like Paul said, write it down, journal what that person brought, instead of holding on to all their stuff once they go. Bless and release it, because all of that has an energy that's anchoring you and weighing you down. And oftentimes it's got generational legacy if it's a piece that's been handed down from one generation to another. Sometimes it's just the space to bless and release. We don't need the physical, the furniture. What we need is the memory attached to it. We need the space. And so have a place where you can have that memory, but not all that physical heaviness with it. So that's another example of how you might bless and release. But it really gets down to reminding yourself every day what your blessings are. And when you start to create any free space you have, and I do gratitude walks, I do, like I said, I play a game in my car, every light. How many blessings can I think of before the light turns green? And I'm always challenging myself. I want different blessings than the last light, right? What are my new blessings? Because the thing is I don't want you to get into kind of that just repetitive rhyme where you're not being present. You should have no problem being able to say different blessings every day because of all of the amazing things in your life. It could be things like, I'm so grateful I have running water. I'm grateful the other day when it was really humid, it felt like I lived in Houston, that I have air conditioning and can close my house up, and I don't have to be part of that like blah energy that was out there that was not my typical Austin air and energy. It was very much like being in a swamp. I was so grateful I could come home, turn on my air, and bring that energy back into a space that made me feel like I was comfortable again. And think about that. There's so many people that don't even have that luxury. I mean, there's things that we take for granted that we don't know are real luxuries and real blessings in our life. So just a way, good morning, Yvette. I just want you to think about what some of those blessings are in your life. I want you to start to put yourself in a more purposeful practice of gratitude every day. And that can be in any extra moment that you have. That could be, heck, it could be when you go to the bathroom, for crying out loud, to just sit there and think, what are my blessings? What am I grateful for? Every moment you give that space of gratitude opens up more space for abundance, prosperity, joy, love, success, fulfillment, and more things to be grateful for. So the more you insert a practice of gratitude in every aspect of your life, the more you are able to pull forward and open up for even bigger and greater things to feel blessed and grateful for on the long haul. Paul, I always say a prayer when I see a cross on the side of the road. Yes, I will say that I do that as well. The other thing I do, I live about a half a mile from an EMT station. Anytime I hear a siren, I always say to Peyton, say a prayer right now, someone's in distress. Say a prayer that everything's okay. I do that when I see a car on the side of the road. I do that when I see a police officer whiz by me with their lights on. I do that whenever I see a situation or an accident that I pass. I'm like, please, God, let everyone be safe. Thank you for having me be safe on this journey. I send blessings and love out to those individuals. And so, yes, I think taking that time to acknowledge and say a prayer for people that may not have had that opportunity, because that in itself is such a blessing. The blessing is that you're still driving on the road when there's a cross where somebody else isn't, right? And so that's a little bit heavy, and it's such an opportunity, because when you offer that grace out, when you offer that prayer out, when you offer that love out, again, that's a way of giving gratitude for what you feel blessed for, and offering gratitude for that space that person or that thing had when they were here on this earth. And so absolutely love that. Hello. So I just want you to think about that. I want you to think about where and how you can continue to level up your own practice of gratitude, whether it be journaling, whether it be the gratitude jar, whether it be just taking those little moments to reflect on what you're truly grateful for and count your blessings, literally count your blessings. So much will open up for you. And so that's what I wanted to bring today. I wanted to kind of bring some of our conversation and just keep digging into that space to help you access more for your life, and to remind yourself just how blessed you truly are. We are so blessed in our life, and we spend way too much time bitching and complaining and moaning and groaning and blaming and justifying. And oh my goodness, we can shift things so drastically just by appreciating and counting our blessings and demonstrating love and gratitude for everything in our life. And so just want you to have those opportunities. Yvette, I drive by 2 hospitals every day to and from work, yes. And that would be a space for me where I would just, every day when I drive by, I would simply say, my prayers and blessings for everyone who needs light, love, and prayers, everyone who needs healing, everyone who, and I'm so grateful that I'm able to drive by, right? Whatever that might be, just keeping that perspective. We're not paying attention enough of the time. And so it's just an opportunity for you to say, how do I be more mindful? How do I show up more purposely? So that's all I got for you guys today. Just want you to really be more mindful in that space. Be more purposeful. That's my challenge for you today, is where and how can you add more gratitude, add more of that practice, stand in a space to slow down and count your blessings, and do that throughout the day. Do that, like I said, whether it's you're going to the bathroom, you're taking a shower, you're sitting at a stoplight, you're walking in between rooms in your house, you're taking your dog for a walk, you're going out to get the mail, whatever it is, all those spaces you can, because it's automated, you're just walking or whatever, to simply say, right now in this moment, what am I grateful for? Set in a reminder on your phone that just pings you and says, right now, 3 things I'm grateful for. It's amazing how that can shift everything in your day. So if you find you're having a day that's heavy, if you find you're having a day that's a little stuck, instantly drop into a space to count your blessings, and I guarantee it will start to shift whatever's going on for you. And so with that, as always, I am so deeply grateful for all of you showing up every morning here, for engaging in these conversations, for sharing your stories, for sharing the things that you're doing, sharing your insights, sharing your feedback. and just truly honor and love each and every one of you. And so I know I'm blessed because every one of you is in my life. And so I just want to say thank you. And I hope you all go out and have a massively amazing Thursday and put yourself in a deep place of thanks and gratitude today. With that, everyone, I will catch up with you tomorrow. I love you. And thank you, as always, for showing up for me and showing up for yourself. I'll talk to you tomorrow.